Comeback Unrecognizable in 2026 Best Motivational Speech Video. There is a version of you that nobody recognizes yet. A version so disciplined, so focused, so relentless that even the people who doubted you will question whether you are the same human being. That version is not built in comfort. It is not born from convenience. It is forged in isolation, in sacrifice, in the quiet hours when the world is distracted and you are at war with your own weakness. Right now, you have two choices. You can repeat 2025 with different excuses, or you can weaponize 2026 and turn it into the year that changes your bloodline. Not the year you talk about changing, the year you actually do it, the year you disappear from noise and reappear with results. Nobody accidentally becomes extraordinary. Thomas Edison did not stumble into brilliance. He endured thousands of failures before the light obeyed his persistence. Abraham Lincoln did not casually become a symbol of resilience. He was hardened by defeat after defeat before he led with unshakable conviction. Walt Disney was rejected, ridiculed, told he lacked imagination, yet he built kingdoms from belief. Their comeback was not loud at first. It was private. It was painful. It was persistent. Your comeback will be the same. You don't need more motivation. You need a new standard. A standard so high that your old habits feel embarrassing. A standard that makes procrastination unacceptable. A standard that forces you to confront the gap between your potential and your performance. Mindset is where it begins, not the shallow positivity that ignores reality, but the brutal honesty that faces it. Look at your life without filters. Where are you average? Where are you inconsistent? Where have you been negotiating with mediocrity? Growth starts when excuses end, when you stop blaming the economy, your background, your critics, your past. Henry Ford didn't wait for perfect conditions to revolutionize industry. He built despite limitation. Carnegie didn't inherit comfort. He outworked it. You must decide that 2026 is not about comfort. It's about construction. Construction of discipline, construction of identity, construction of a mind that does not fold under pressure. Belief is not something you wait to feel. It is something you build through evidence. Every early morning you conquer becomes proof. Every workout completed when you wanted to quit becomes proof. Every skill practiced when no one is watching becomes proof. Confidence is not magic. It is earned self-trust. Clarity sharpens your comeback. What exactly are you building? A stronger body? A sharper mind? Financial independence? Emotional control? Define it. Write it. See it so clearly that distractions lose their seduction. When your vision is vivid, your discipline becomes automatic. You stop chasing temporary pleasure because you are obsessed with permanent transformation. Purpose fuels endurance. If your goal is shallow, you will quit when it gets hard. But if your purpose is tied to legacy, to family, to impact, to proving to yourself that you are capable of more, then pain becomes fuel. You start to understand something powerful. Suffering is not punishment. It is preparation. Discipline is where most people break. They love the idea of success, but hate the routine that creates it. They want the body, but not the training, the wealth, but not the sacrifice, the respect, but not the grind. In 2026, you must fall in love with the process, the repetition, the boredom, the days when progress feels invisible, because that is where separation happens. That is where you quietly outgrow your old self. Action must become non-negotiable. You move whether you feel like it or not. You execute whether you are inspired or not. Motivation is unreliable. Systems are powerful. Create habits that eliminate choice. Wake up at the same time. Train at the same time. Study at the same time. Build at the same time. When routine replaces debate, progress accelerates. There will be resistance. There will will be setbacks. There will be moments when doubt tries to reclaim control. That is when resilience is tested. Remember Lincoln standing after loss. Remember Edison in the dark before the light. Remember every leader who endured ridicule before recognition. Pressure does not destroy the strong, it reveals them. Gratitude keeps your mind balanced, not gratitude for comfort, but gratitude for opportunity. The opportunity to try again, to improve, to compete, to grow. Many wish for the chance you are wasting. Let that realization ignite urgency within you. Adaptability is strength. If a strategy fails, adjust. If a door closes, find another entrance. Stubbornness in vision, flexibility in method. That is how empires are built. That is how comebacks become undeniable. And as you continue, something shifts internally. You stop needing validation. You stop announcing your goals. You move in silence. You let your work speak. Your circle might shrink. Your habits will change. Your standards will rise. People may not understand you anymore. And that is the point. Growth is lonely before it is legendary. Learning becomes constant. Study those who achieved what you seek. Study their discipline, their mistakes, their endurance. Success leaves clues, but only the focused notice them. Every book, every failure, every critique becomes data. You evolve strategically, not emotionally. The body transforms through stress. The mind transforms through challenge. The spirit transforms through perseverance. When all three align, you become dangerous, not to others, but to your old limitations. 2026 is not waiting to inspire you. It is waiting to test you. It will ask if you are serious. It will expose whether your goals were fantasies or commitments. And in those moments, when it would be easier to stay the same, you must choose differently. Disappear from distraction. Delete what weakens you. Distance yourself from what drains you. Replace noise with knowledge. Replace laziness with structure. Replace fear with execution. One day you will walk into a room and feel the difference. Your posture will change. Your energy will command attention, not because you demanded respect, but because you earned it through relentless consistency. The comeback will not be loud. It will be undeniable. They will say you changed. They will say you became obsessed. They will say you were different, and you will be, because average no longer fits you, because excuses no longer control you, because discipline rebuilt you. Come back unrecognizable, not for revenge, not for applause, but for self-respect, for the promise you made to yourself in your lowest moment, for the version of you that refused to die quietly. 2026 can be the year you repeat patterns, or it can be the year you rewrite your identity, the year you suffer strategically, the year you train your mind to endure, the year you outgrow doubt. Stand up, decide, commit, execute. And when December arrives, you won't need to explain your transformation. They will see it in your eyes, in your habits, in your results. Come back unrecognizable, because the old you was only the introduction. And understand this, a real comeback is not cosmetic. It is not a new haircut, a new quote in your bio, a temporary burst of motivation that fades by February. A real comeback is cellular. It rewires how you think, how you respond, how you endure. It changes your nervous system. It turns panic into focus. It turns pressure into performance. Most people want a breakthrough without a breakdown, but every transformation demands that something old dies. Your old routines, your old excuses, your old identity. You cannot carry comfort and ambition in the same hands. One must be released. There will be days in 2026 when progress feels invisible, when you wake up early and it seems like nothing is changing, when you train and the mirror doesn't reflect the effort, when you build and the results are silent. That is the test, because the world belongs to those who can work in silence without immediate reward. Think of the bamboo tree. For years it grows underground, invisible, building roots deep into the earth, and then, suddenly, it rises rapidly toward the sky. People call it overnight success. They never saw the years of unseen development. Your comeback will feel like that, long stretches of quiet discipline followed by undeniable elevation. You must become obsessed with depth, not attention. Depth in your craft, depth in your focus, depth in your preparation. When Andrew Carnegie mastered the steel industry, it wasn't through scattered effort, it was through relentless immersion. When innovators like Ford redesigned production, it was through constant refinement, not random bursts of inspiration. Mastery requires monotony, and monotony is where most quit. But you will not quit. Because this time it is different. This time you are not chasing hype, you are building identity. Identity-driven change is permanent. When you see yourself as disciplined, you act disciplined. When you see yourself as resilient, you endure. Stop saying, "I'm trying." Start saying, "This is who I am." The language you use shapes the limits you accept. Pain will visit you, fatigue will test you, doubt will circle back, but you are no longer fragile. You are training your mind the way an athlete trains muscle, through resistance. Every difficult conversation you face instead of avoid, every task you complete instead of delay, every fear you confront instead of escape, it thickens your mental armor. And here is the truth most people avoid. Nobody is coming to save you. No mentor will do the push-ups for you. No opportunity will drag you out of bed. No perfect timing will remove uncertainty. Your comeback begins the moment you accept total ownership. Radical responsibility is freedom. When everything is your fault, everything is within your power to change. Control what you consume. Information is nutrition for the mind. If you feed it distraction, comparison, negativity, it weakens. If you feed it strategy, wisdom, discipline, it sharpens. Protect your focus like it is oxygen, because in a world addicted to noise, clarity is a superpower. Build routines that make quitting difficult. Surround yourself with standards higher than your excuses. Distance yourself from environments that normalize laziness. Environment shapes expectation. Expectation shapes performance. And as weeks turn into months, you will notice subtle shifts. You react less emotionally. You plan more strategically. You waste less time. You recover faster from setbacks. What once overwhelmed you now feels manageable. What once intimidated you now feels like opportunity. This is the compounding effect of daily discipline. Small wins stack, habits layer, confidence builds, and suddenly the mountain that once seemed impossible looks climbable, not because it shrank, but because you grew. There will be moments when people resurface from your past. They will speak to you with the memory of who you were, but you will feel the disconnect. Their perception is outdated. You are operating on a new frequency, not louder, stronger. You are no longer addicted to comfort. You are addicted to progress. Every sunrise becomes a reminder, another chance to separate yourself from the average mindset, another chance to close the gap between potential and performance, another chance to prove that you are serious. And when exhaustion hits, because it will, remember why you started, not for validation, not for revenge, but for expansion, for growth, for the deep satisfaction of knowing you did not betray your potential. In 2026, you are not chasing a goal, you are becoming a force. A force of consistency in a world of inconsistency, a force of discipline in a culture of distraction, a force of resilience in times of uncertainty. Come back unrecognizable because you outworked your former limits. Come back unrecognizable because you trained when it was inconvenient. Come back unrecognizable because you refused to negotiate with weakness. Let them underestimate you. Let them doubt you. Let them misunderstand your silence. Because while they are talking, you are building. While they are scrolling, you are studying. While they are hesitating, you are executing. And one day, without announcement, without warning, without permission, the results will surface. Not as luck, not as coincidence, but as consequence. the consequence of discipline, the consequence of ownership, the consequence of relentless daily action. That is how you come back unrecognizable, not by wishing, not by waiting, but by becoming.
Becoming is violent in a quiet way. It doesn't scream, it doesn't broadcast. It reshapes you internally until the external world has no choice but to adjust. And the deeper you go into this process, the more you realize that the real opponent was never other people. It was your lower standard, your tolerated weakness, your addiction to ease. You start cutting away what no longer aligns. Late nights wasted, conversations that drain, habits that dilute your focus. This is not about becoming cold, it is about becoming clear. Clear about what matters, clear about who you are building, clear about what you refuse to compromise. Clarity creates power. When your mind is clear, your decisions become faster. When your decisions are faster, your momentum increases, and momentum is dangerous because once it builds, it carries you forward even on the days you feel tired. There will still be hard days, days when your body aches, when your mind feels heavy, when unexpected problems hit from every direction. But instead of collapsing, you lean in. You've trained for this. You've prepared for discomfort. You no longer interpret difficulty as a sign to stop. You interpret it as a signal to rise. Think about the people history remembers, not because they had easy paths, but because they endured brutal ones. Abraham Lincoln standing steady through division, Thomas Edison refusing to surrender to darkness, Walt Disney rebuilding after bankruptcy. Their names are remembered not for comfort, but for courage. Your life may not be written in history books, but it is written in the daily decisions you make, and every decision is a vote for the person you are becoming. You begin to respect yourself differently, not because everything is perfect, but because you are consistent. Self-respect grows from kept promises. You said you would wake up early, and you did. You said you would train, and you did. You said you would study, build, focus, and you did. Each kept promise is a brick. Each brick builds identity, and identity builds destiny. You no longer need hype. You no longer chase inspiration. You operate from discipline, quiet, controlled, focused. There is a calm intensity about you now, a certainty, not arrogance, certainty. You understand something most people never grasp. Emotions are temporary, but standards are permanent. So you raise your standards for your health, for your work, for your circle, for your thoughts. You refuse to entertain mediocrity. When fear shows up, you don't wait for it to disappear. You move with it. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is action despite it. Every time you step forward while afraid, your confidence multiplies. You become less reactive, more intentional. And slowly, the comeback becomes visible. Your body reflects your discipline. Your mind reflects your focus. Your results reflect your effort. But the greatest transformation is invisible. Your tolerance for discomfort has expanded. What used to break you now builds you. What used to intimidate you now sharpens you. You are no longer fragile. You are adaptable. If a plan fails, you adjust. If an opportunity closes, you create another. If you fall, you recover faster. Adaptability is power in motion. It keeps you from stagnation. It keeps you evolving, because stagnation is the enemy of greatness. You study your mistakes instead of hiding from them. You analyze losses instead of blaming others. You treat every setback as data. Growth becomes strategic, not emotional. And as this continues, something remarkable happens. You stop fearing the future because you trust your preparation, you trust your resilience, you trust your ability to handle whatever arrives. That trust is earned through repetition, through mornings you didn't feel ready, through nights you wanted to quit, through moments you could have chosen comfort but chose growth. This is how you separate yourself, not in one dramatic leap, but in relentless daily execution. You realize that 2026 is not just a year, it is a proving ground, a test of identity, a battlefield where your discipline faces your excuses. And your excuses are losing because you've starved them. You've stopped feeding them attention. You've replaced them with structure. Structure creates freedom. Discipline creates options. Consistency creates leverage, and leverage changes everything. By the time others decide to get serious, you're already miles ahead. Not because you are more talented, not because you are more lucky, but because you started earlier, you stayed longer, you endured more. That is the difference. Endurance. Most people sprint in January and collapse by March. You will move like a marathoner, steady, controlled, relentless. You are not chasing applause, you are chasing mastery. And mastery requires patience. It requires humility. It requires repetition. It requires sacrifice. But it also delivers something priceless, transformation that cannot be taken from you. When December comes and you look back at who you were, you won't recognize that version, not because you changed your personality, but because you upgraded your standards. You became sharper, stronger, calmer, more disciplined, more focused, unrecognizable. And the most powerful part? You'll know it wasn't luck, it was you. The early mornings, the hard choices, the silent grind, the refusal to stay average. You didn't wait for permission. You didn't wait for motivation. You didn't wait for perfect timing. You decided. And that decision, repeated daily, rewrote your identity. That is how you come back unrecognizable. Not through noise, not through shortcuts, but through relentless evolution. And this is only the beginning.